Wasted Dreams is not a waste of time. It's Amigos, episode 342. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about wasted dreams.
Do I need to sing it again?
Do it.
Like Freddie Fender. Wasted dreams and wasted nights. Did you look him up this week? What'd you think?
He is an undiscovered, well, he's not really he's undiscovered by me, but he's a real gem.
Yeah, he is. Oh, he's great. Freddie Fender, man.
He's not with us anymore, is he?
No, he passed away, I think it was like 2006.
Oh,
but,
just missed him.
Yeah.
Now, Aaron, I know that you hate going to sleep.
That's true.
You fight it.
I do.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah.
But once you have succumbed to dreamland, are you one of these people that remembers your dreams?
Very rarely. It's funny you should bring this up, because this is a shoot. I didn't just make this up for the show. I remembered a dream just last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I dreamed that they had made an Odyssey 2 Mini. I kid you not.
Wow.
And it was awesome. And I'd found this place that sold them, and they also sold a miniature Atari 2600 cartridges for an assumed Atari 2600 Mini, which does exist to a certain degree. So I was very excited. Then I woke up, no Odyssey 2 Mini. So it's kind of a bummer.
It could be a sign. Maybe you were called to create the Odyssey 2 Mini.
I'd hate to use the keyboard on that thing. It's true.
Get your toothpick ready.
Yeah, no. Exactly, buddy. What about you? Do you remember your dreams?
I do. I remember them for a very short amount of time after I wake up.
Yeah, you got to be quick.
Yeah. But if you could choose to have, lucid dreams, would you like to have them?
Sure. Who wouldn't? Control your dreams? I think I've had them a few times. But, the one of the things that happens in dreams occasionally, at least to me, is that you know you're dreaming. And so you're like, this is goofy. But I can't really control what I do, but I have a feeling like something's goofy going on. Like,
here's my fear. My fear is that I'd have a lucid dream of being buried alive or something like that, and then you can't control it because you're being buried alive.
Have you ever had a dream where something bad happened to you?
Most of my dreams where something bad happens, I fall. I'm one of those people that have that sensation of falling and then you jerk awake.
Yeah, I got gang beaten one time.
I thought you were going somewhere else.
I got beat down by a gang of toughs in an alley. That was bad.
That's no good.
And I had my friend was spending the night with me, and I woke up by punching the headboard of my bed.
Oh my god!
And it made this huge noise, and it scared him so much he walked home.
Wow,
that's true.
So this is at your mom and dad's house.
This
right. Wasn't like in Huntington.
No.
Okay.
No. It was bad though. It was a scary dream. That's probably one of the scary ones. And then lots of things about vampires. I don't know why.
Weird.
Used to have those a lot.
Any Alpo dreams?
No. You mean a werewolf? I never had any werewolf dreams.
What about Kmart?
Kmart? No, that's right. That was they were both the same guy. So, but yeah, I never had any werewolf dreams. But lots of I don't know what it's about vampires. I guess I don't know.
What's the
childhood
creatures
fear
of the night?
Now, when you have a nightmare, what's your number one?
Oh boy. I think that there's always the feeling of being chased by something you can't quite see.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's just something. Or actually, I'll tell you, the scariest dream I've ever had is that I remember dreaming I was pulling up to this house in St. Albans.
Yeah. With
my grandparents, and I looked up and there was somebody in the window.
Oh man.
And I don't know why that scared me, but I still feel terrified by that thought to this day.
Have you ever looked up at that window and just seen nothing and wondered?
Yeah.
That is creepy.
Yeah.
When it comes to running from stuff you can't see, that happens to me all the time. If my glasses come off, I can't see nothing. That could be ridiculous. I had an elephant chasing me, pack of midgets. Who knows what's happening back there? I don't like having nightmares, but the thing I hate the most is dreaming reruns. Have you ever had those where you have the same dream? Yeah. And it doesn't happen like night after night. It'd be like 2 years later. I'm like, oh, crap, I'm back here.
It's this one again.
Yeah, so that's another one I don't like.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what's never a rerun, Aaron, and that's this week's Amiga News.
Not entirely true.
Amiga News.
Sometimes we cover the same weeks in a row.
All right, Aaron. We're going to start things off with one of the biggest stories of the week. This is actually in your Indie Retro News tab.
Oh, I see.
Opened here. Aaron, we're going to start things off with a little bit of unboxing.
Oh, what is this here?
Okay, this might be related.
Okay. Oh, you didn't tell me about this. I didn't know what was in the box.
This just came today, and one of the quirkiest twists of fate that has ever happened.
How nice, Bo. Look at that. Yeah. Get that right up. And let me switch to the big cam here, Boats.
Oh, yeah, we got the big cam.
Everybody can see what's going on here. Look at that. That's great. Now, what incredible place did you pick this thing up at?
So these are available now at amigatees.com. This is a Chez Maxim shirt.
Thank you, Boat.
And this is, of course, the game that launched 1,000 Ships, discovered, pulled out of obscurity by you and the Brent on ARG Presents, and now an international sensation.
It is. Listen, it's gratifying. I don't know what to tell you. To see something like this happen, I guess we should probably get into it fully. So, I guess it's been about a month ago. Me and the Brent did a show on the Odyssey 2 / video pack, and we both wanted to play stuff we never played before. And Brent picked a really crazy game called the Mouser or something like that, and I picked a game I never heard of called Chez Maxim, and I liked it. I just mentioned on the show, I was like, I think someone that really knew what they were doing could really make this into a really rocking game, like a port. And lo, did I know that our buddy Happy Coding was watching the show, and literally by that evening, he had already worked out the basics of the game, for the ZX Spectrum. And so,
click on the link there.
Long story short, is it this one?
Oh no, continue reading.
Long story short, the game is basically nearing completion. In fact, I think he's pretty much got it all done.
It's done. I've already bought it.
And I even saw the. Let me see if I can get to the actual. Here it is. Yeah. Wow, I didn't know it was already. God, that was quick. Anyway, in the span of a few weeks, Happy put this thing together for the ZX Spectrum, and man, I mean, he improved it in every way, Bode.
Yeah. And
he even, at a very kind gesture, he put myself and the Brent in the game. So we're actually two of the customers that come in and eat at the restaurant.
So if you haven't played Chez Maxim before, this is a game where you are serving dishes to hungry patrons at a restaurant, and you have to collect the tray of food from the dumbwaiter as it ascends on the right side of the screen and drop it off at the table of the awaiting customer. Meanwhile, there's a pesky dog that's in your way that will steal your food if you are too slow to get it. So this is one of these games, Aaron, that I can't believe didn't get an arcade release. I mean, it's such an original concept. And what Happy Coding has done is he's added some extra elements. He's left diners leave tips that you can collect for extra points.
Look, there's me, by the way.
Yeah, there's a whole system of losing and gaining reputation. It's a fantastic game, and I highly recommend you go to highriser.itch.io, which is his site, and pick up this game for the ZX Spectrum. Even if you don't have one, you can emulate it. It is definitely a fun game, and you will enjoy it.
$4.
Yeah.
That's a bargain at any time of the day or night.
That's true.
And listen, not just because I put me in the game, and I appreciate that. This game's a lot of fun. It improves on the 02/video pack version in every way. And it's neat to see someone knock out a game so incredibly quickly and do such an outstanding job. So
he's a coding genius.
He really is. And his partner, who did a lot of the video, and the loading screen looks just like the shirt. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So hats off to Happy, and man, it's neat, Bo, to play a minor part in such. It's a real fun feeling. He sent me a message that what are the odds that a couple guys from West Virginia influence a British guy that lives in Kazakhstan to make a French game for an English computer.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And of course, Graham says, imagine if Yeti on the Thompson M05 got the same treatment. I hope that is the next ARG fan treatment, Aaron.
Brent would die if that happened, because that's one Brent found, and that is a fun game too. And the M05 is another machine that doesn't get a whole lot of talking about, much like the video pack. So that would be great. But listen, I appreciate it, Happy. And I think everyone will really enjoy this. At least give it a shot. I think you'll get a kick out of a boat.
All right, Aaron. We move on to some Amiga news. Aaron, I know that you're a huge fan of the old Morph OS.
Yeah, when this popped up, I just looked at it, I was like, nah, I got nothing.
So, the old school game blog reports that Morph OS 3.16 has been released. Now, I know that Ravi is a big Morph OS guy, and I'm sure lots of people in the chat are. This is the one that you can load up on the Mac. You get yourself a G4 Macintosh, and you can pop this bad boy on it and run an entirely up-to-date operating system that has it's very Amiga-esque, and it even includes, I believe, an Amiga emulator that you can emulate the classic Amiga stuff. Updates include a new browser called Wayfarer that replaces the obsolete Odyssey web browser.
Yeah.
There's the Iris email client has been updated. A notification system, and get this, Aaron, Command Tab, get ready to switch some apps. Bam!
Oh, nice.
You can do it with this, okay?
It's kind of neat, though. If we had one of these items, Macs, if we had one, we don't.
Right.
And they're hard to get, right? They're becoming
very expensive because of Morph OS.
If we ever get hold of one of these, I would be down with putting this on. And we're not tinkering types, you know, but it'd be kind of fun.
It would be fun to get one of these.
Because we could finally see what it's like to have a useful Apple product.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. So, big props to the Morph OS team for getting this update up.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you to the Old School Game Blog.
Yeah.
Now, Aaron, our next story, we're going to dive deep into the world of indie retro news, and his reporting, Aaron, this next batch of stories is all gaming related. Gold Rush, Aaron, we talked about this game long ago.
Man.
Do you remember this?
Yes, vaguely. I remember the name. I do remember us talking about it. And I think we sort of dug it, didn't we?
Well, I don't know that we played it, but this is a game that is it's a game for sale. And it's a re-release, Aaron, of a game with some extra special stuff. Now, this is an adventure game, kind of like your King's Quest or Leisure Suit Larry, something like that.
Look at that! Look at all those goodies you get.
They released this a couple years ago. They sold out. They've made all new feelies, Aaron. So you've got your map of the gold towns of California.
Yeah.
Stickers. Postcard. It looks like a big instruction manual. So if you were into Gold Rush and you missed the first Gold Rush. Yeah, it's time for round.
Let's have a quick look at this while we're sitting here. I was sitting there looking at the feelings. I'm a sucker for that. I hate to say it, but it's true. Mm-hmm. That really makes collecting the old games worth something too.
It's funny. This is the introduction. The introduction, it looks very, very good.
Yeah.
And so, you can check that out. And over at Indie Retro News, the link to purchase is right there.
Did you see what he's charging for it?
I didn't look to see. I did, but I've already forgotten.
Sorry, bud.
That's all right. Let me look it up real quick. It looks like Gold Rush, Aaron, is, if I scroll to the bottom here, retro-tainment.com is the site. The special edition is $24.99, Aaron, which is not bad. That is 24 euros and 99 euroettes. So pick it up, or you can just buy the regular version for $4.99. So yeah, lots of good stuff there.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, we're moving on to Scramble. Now I know Scramble's kind of a divisive game. Where do you lie on the Scramble side?
Who's divisive about it? It's great.
I've known people that don't like Scramble.
Where? Show me where they live.
So you like Scramble.
You got that right. Yeah,
okay.
Sure. Scramble's great.
Okay, well, guess what? Scramble is coming to the Amiga.
Woo!
This is, of course, JOTD, master coder of Amiga gaming ports. And Aaron, this looks pretty dead on to what you're going to get in the arcade. I mean, to me, this looks pretty much side by side what the arcade version. Take a look here. What do you think?
Well, yes. I like it. See, listen, Scramble is a game of simple pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a lot of fanciness to it. It looks pretty good. You got to consider when it was released. I mean, it's old game, and it was a great game. And one of the things a lot of people don't know about Scramble was the hardware for it was far more important than the game, because the Scramble PCB was used to pirate so many other games.
Oh.
The Scramble PCB arcade board was used. They would make ROMs for all kinds of other games, and they would run on the Scramble hardware.
Interesting.
So that was sort of an added bonus. But Scramble's a fun game. Of course, it gave way to Super Cobra, which is admittedly a better game, but still, Scramble's a lot of fun, and they're not entirely the same, So I always like Scramble. I've always been a big fan. What about you? Surely you like it.
I mean, it's
Both.
okay.
Both.
I just feel like this is a little bit too early for this type of game. I'm going to go up to something more like R-Type. This is obviously the roots of this whole genre.
Yeah, this is out way before R-Type was.
But yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
It's great.
This is available right now on Jot's itch page, which is JOTD666 because it's evil.itch.io. This is called Scramble 500. It's available at the ever popular Name Your Own Price.
Listen, throw that guy a couple bucks for doing Scramble. Man, we got to get in on some of these. We're getting hosed. These are all coming out left and right.
Right.
Now, it's our time.
Well,
it was a C64, but now we're getting some.
We're going to be playing some games later on tonight. Maybe we'll have to throw Scramble 500 on there.
Yeah, I like it, man.
Now, Aaron, our next story, this is wacky.
Okay.
This is real wacky. This is a soccer game called Suveron Soccer. Okay. This has got to be, so it says that this is available for an unaccelerated stock Amiga 1200 or CD32.
All right.
Okay, so you got to have at least an 020 to get this going. But this looks good.
Holy smokes!
This kind of reminds me of like an early Super Nintendo type game with
does.
this like mode 7 rotation and stuff like that. Imagine Sensible Soccer kind of tilted somewhat on its side. And you've got this weird kind of 3D playing surface. That's what you got with Suveron Soccer. It appears that this game is still under development, but I'm sure it looks like it's really coming along. And what I like about this game is that it doesn't move too ultra fast, and you can see a great deal of the field.
I think I'd like to play the version he's playing right now. Maybe I'd have a chance of scoring a goal. If the guys just stood there as I ran around. It does have it sort of looks like if there was a gaming era between the NES and the Super Nintendo, this would fit perfectly in it.
Right.
Because the background and stuff look like they're in NES sort of, and then everything else looks like Super Nintendo, so it's kind of right in the middle. Very un-Amiga looking, I will say that.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to see. This is just a demo. There is no playable version as far as I can tell.
How neat.
But yeah, definitely keep an eye on this one.
That's crazy. Listen, you found some real winners this week, bro. I got to give you credit.
So, Aaron, our next story continues the trend. This is the Mistress.
Oh,
Aaron, the Mistress 500.
I'm down with that.
Okay. Now, Aaron, this is, stop me if you've heard this before.
Yeah.
This is an FPGA that fits inside of an Amiga 500.
Good idea. I never thought of that, except there's one hanging on my wall in the house.
Now, Aaron, you purchased another version of one of these boards called the Amiga. You purchased it when I was in Ireland. I wasn't here to stop you.
I love that thing, actually. I got a lot of use out of it. It just, once I fixed it. This is not, I think even the Amiga was even working on something like this. It seems like I recall reading something on his Twitter about it.
Okay, well, what this does is this basically includes a header board that you plug a mister into. Okay, and so it basically gives you everybody. The misters are widely available. They're more expensive.
Yeah,
than
they're not that widely available. Yeah,
but they are more widely available than the Amiga. And so you can take this thing and you can plug it into the header, and you're set to go, and you don't have to worry about you basically get all the pluses that the Mister gives you, in that the core is constantly being developed, the mini-mig core and all that stuff. It looks nice, Aaron. This looks very, very slick.
I'm looking here I'm just wondering what advantages, because this is sort of like the thing Neil is selling. It's
nothing like the thing Neil.
Well, no, hold on a second. It gives you it gives you additional stuff on the back that you don't normally get with a Mister. For example, look, you've got these two outputs like right here.
Okay.
I
see what you're saying now.
Yeah, right. And so it's interesting what they've got going here now. It's the age-old question, much like the Amiga. Do I just whack the Amiga 500 board and stick this in it? And I will say, having some experience down this line with the Amiga, here I'll give you my nickel's worth on this. The downside of the Amiga as a FPGA is the fact that the keyboard, I don't think the keyboard does a very good job. But it's the same problem I have putting a Raspberry Pi in a Coco or a C64. And you've seen my setup for the Mister.
Yeah.
It's not an expensive keyboard. It's a plain J keyboard. It's got all the keys you need.
Well,
and
unless you need a numpad, then you're screwed.
Unless you need a numpad, right. Secondly, on this, like you mentioned, these Misters are getting tough to find. The Amiga was substantially cheaper
Mm-hmm.
On the whole.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got into the Amiga set after me, you got a much more flushed out version that played a lot of those FPGA chords that mine kind of play.
Right.
Mine will kind of play the ZX Next.
Mm-hmm.
Mine will kind of play like NES games and
Mhm.
whatnot. The other one was better, and
Mhm.
again, it was cheaper. Now it's a lot cheaper. At the time, it was getting to the point where I was like, it wasn't a whole lot cheaper. I don't know what's the Mistress itself cost? Bud?
€110.
What are we talking about?
About $100.
It's not a bad price.
So $100
frankly.
plus the DE10, which is probably closer to $250.
Does this
now
add
these
memory
days.
or anything to it, or do you have to provide it yourself? Like, because I know Neil's adds a memory. Here's the specs.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it adds any memory. Looks like it just basically gives you those extra connectors.
So you're gonna have to boat this thing up. And I always go back to your video,
Mhm.
your miserly video. But listen, if you've got one of these sitting around, you could do worse case wise.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah, if you've got an empty A500 or a broken one or something,
yeah.
and you want it. So we're hearing from the chat that the DE10 Nano is $213 now.
Yeah,
So,
and get them quick.
yeah. Yeah.
You know,
We were for once in our lives we were lucky, and we got on board.
Well, you were
early
very
with that
kind
stuff.
and bought me one.
Well.
I appreciate that. And I will say this, I can see it. I can sort of see it. If you've got a case, or if you buy a case and put it in there,
Mhm.
then you got something. So there you go.
Aaron, our next story is about a new Retro News website.
Oh,
this
man.
was launched by the team that brought us the Fusion books and the Fusion magazines.
Yeah.
This is a very prominent publisher here, and they have basically their own Retro News blog. So if you're looking for a place to check out either new games inspired by old games, or old games inspired by new games, you can check out it. And this literally just launched within the past couple of days, so there's not a whole lot of stories on here. But hey, you can never have too many sources of information.
Yeah, I agree. It looks real nice.
Yeah, real slick. So,
we liked Fusion too.
Yeah.
So that was a good book. So yeah, congratulations. I hope it does well.
Yeah,
I'll definitely
absolutely
be hopping over and checking this thing out.
Now, Aaron, our final story is our big story of the week, Aaron. Amiga Addict has hit the big time.
Oh man.
This is a story in the Guardian, Aaron. This ain't no, Herald Dispatch. This
isn't the Hurricane Breeze.
the Hurricane Breeze or the Putnam Post. This is the Guardian, Aaron, and they had this huge write-up on the rise of print video game magazines.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
So, of course, the big news of the week, if you're listening to this, you probably already know that Amiga Addict just signed a deal to have a presence on physical newsstands all over the UK. And so, of course, the Guardian, hearing about this, they picked up the story and ran with it. I read this thing, and it's a nice kind of trip down memory lane. It does make you nostalgic for the sort of the glory days of the magazine, back before almost everything was online. But it's talking about how these new print magazines like Amiga Addict are they're harnessing the power of long form in a way that your average website doesn't, combining it so the layout, the feel of the paper, the quality of the material. And so I'm glad. I love this stuff. There's an MSX magazine, Aaron, that was just released, the new paper MSX magazine. So I think this is a new golden age of print.
Yeah, I think. Well, really, do you think that?
I do. I'm serious.
Here's the difference. I think you may be right, but it's funny how magazines have kind of went the way of hardware. Magazines are boutique items now.
They're boutique items.
And you will pay accordingly. And for example, when you pick up a retro gamer at the local store, which is the only thing we've got access to in the same genre,
right?
You're paying over $10, well over. And which is, if you told me a few years ago I'd be paying $10, $12, $15 for a magazine, I'd have called you a liar. But that's what they cost.
Well, I mean, even domestic magazines, everything's gone up in price.
Yeah, and so, but if you've got a strong following that is willing to pay that much money to get these books, you can get some action. Listen, there's also always the digital route with a lot of these. You can read the PDF version. Yep. They almost all have a PDF version. So I think it's great. It's nice to have something to read and something that's current. I mean, we look through a lot of the old books, but there's not as much fun as there is looking at stuff that's modern. So you can see modern ads and you can see modern reviews. It makes it more interesting and fun. So I think it's great. And plus, at least in the Amiga world, as we've just discussed, there's a lot of stuff happening. The ZX world, the Z64 world. You know, there was a time, probably 15 years, where you could have had a magazine. What would you put in it? You'd have been boned.
Right.
But now, you know, we're living in a glorious age where this stuff's coming back around. It gives the magazine something to talk about. So it's dandy, bud. I love it.
All right, Aaron. Well, I'll tell you what else is dandy, and that's the boys over at RetroRewind.ca.
Yes, they're dandy folks, bud.
Now, you may be wondering, what am I going to do with my broken computer? You know, remember, there's some guy on Discord, one of our newer members, just got a Facebook deal, and Intellivision 2, tons of games, stuff like that for $30. These deals, they're still out there to be had.
Yeah, very rare, but yes.
Now, sometimes when you get the old C64 from somebody's basement or their garage or something, it may need a small amount of work to get going again.
Yeah.
And you might not have the skills to make this thing happen. Well, guess what? We know somebody that does, and we know somebody that cares, and that is Frank and his team at Retro Rewind. Aaron, what do you think is the biggest advantage of sending your computer to Retro Rewind rather than, you know, Joe down the street?
Hey, listen, it's a simple fact. If you take your expensive, rare, collectible item, put it in the mail and ship it to some dude, you don't want to send it to some random geek. You want a geek that is tried and true. You want a geek that has skills to pay the bills, and you want a guy that's got a rep for taking care of business in a quality way. And that's the peace of mind you get from dealing with Frank up at Retro Rewind, who's got decades of high-level experience. He didn't just fall off the turnip truck boat.
That's right.
This guy knows what he's doing. And if you have any questions about what's going on, just ask the community, because everyone that's dealt with him has had a good experience and are more than willing to talk about it, Bode.
Right. So we appreciate Frank and his team. And if you have any Commodore computer needs or Coco needs, make sure you check out RetroRewind.ca and use the promo code Amigos10 to save 10 big percentage points off your order. Thank you, RetroRewind.ca. Aaron, let's talk about Wasted Dreams.
Oh, man. Story of my life, Boat. Not really. Boat, we talked before the show, but I'm going to ask here. Have you ever heard of this one in your whole life, Boat?
No. This one was completely new to me. And in fact, I thought Wasted Dreams was going to be something incredibly stupid.
What? Is it because it's a CD-based game from 1999?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Well, not the fact that when I saw the title screen or the box art, if you will, I mean, it's just about the most generic thing you can possibly. There's a ship. There's some really clip art looking font.
It is. Yes.
Yeah, not great.
No, it's not. It doesn't look the best. So let's get into it. With that, you really built it up nicely. Wasted Dreams. Now this is a late comer. Released for the Amiga, astoundingly, in 1999 on CD. A gutsy move. I will say, and I'll get into this a little bit more later, but this thing spent about 5 years in production from the world's tiniest team. It was like literally 2, 3, 4 guys, and really 2 or 3 of them did most of the work. This was released by an outfit called Digital Dreams Entertainment, DDE, which was composed of a few guys, and was basically like a out of the back room project. This was not like a huge corporation, as you can imagine. Those guys only did one other game. It's called Codename Hell Squad.
Oh, okay.
But that sounds awesome.
I wonder if it was the same genre, if it was a different type of game.
It looks the same genre. In fact, when I was looking for stuff on Codename Hell Squad, I saw an article where they remastered it. It was on Indie Retro News from a while back. So apparently it's been fooled with recently. Okay, Bode, I'm going to do what I love to do, which is try to pronounce these names. Just a couple of them. The guys behind this, the big players on this were a guy named Thomas C. Sivajanovic.
Okay.
How about that? And Raymond Sendrick. You also had what I would assume is a lot of family members. These guys were out of what was formerly Yugoslavia.
Okay.
So now Croatia.
Okay.
And they've all moved on. I found interviewed a couple of these guys thanks to Z9K9 sent us over some real nice articles that were in, I believe they were in Russian. I had to translate them. But I got a lot of information from those. These would run on your AGA Amiga. There were actually, you could run these in a not AGA format apparently. From what I read on Hall of Light, the requirements for this game, in case you feel like playing it, 68,000 CPU, ECS or AGA, 3 megs of RAM, that's 2 megs chip, and a mega fast, and a 2x CD-ROM. Of course, nowadays you can. I didn't use a CD-ROM, but I used a hard drive file, so you can always go that route.
Can you? And this is a dumb question.
Okay.
Could you connect a CD-ROM to anything other than an A1200? I mean, could you connect one to a 600 or a 500?
Well, yeah, they've got that mythical gimmick. I mean, now there are ways.
Okay.
In the old days, it would have been much more difficult.
I'm just interested why they would give you the option to run this in ECS mode.
Well, I mean, an Amiga 2000 could have a CD-ROM, for example.
Fair enough.
They had SCSI CD-ROMs and whatnot. So, I mean, it's interesting how it goes. I mean, can any Amiga use a CD-ROM? Yes. Was it something you would have in 1999? Probably more likely.
All bets are off in 1999.
Right. But I'm saying, I mean, yeah, probably earlier than that, 10 years earlier. I know as someone who had an Amiga, man, I would have loved to have had a CD-ROM. I was like dreaming. I was like, man, I can't wait to get one. But I knew that was like, what do I do? I didn't know. And this game also supports NTSC and PAL.
Nice.
You could also, if you copy the whole CD to the hard drive, it'll run off the hard drive.
And that's how we played this game.
Well, I played it just a hard drive file that someone used. And the good thing is that I played this on the Mister, by the way.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I played this on the Mister. So odd that this would come out so late, but here it is, the game. Now, when you get into this game proper, it starts off with a pretty lengthy cinema.
I think the opening cinematic is close to 10 minutes long.
It's real long. What did you? I just sat and watched this thing, but what was going through your head? What did you think about
this? I went into this completely cold.
Yeah, okay? Me as well. I had no idea. Yeah.
So when you're watching this opening scene, what kept going through my head was like, what kind of game is this going to be? Is this going to be a shooter? Because you're in space, you're flying around. Is this going to be a point-and-click adventure game? Yeah. I just didn't know.
That's what threw me, too, because I thought this was I didn't even bother getting the joystick. I just thought it was a point-and-click adventure.
Yeah. And so when you watch this, and I will say that I thought it was very well done. I thought the renderings and stuff was I mean, I don't know what was par for the course in 1999. I mean, it might not have been quite state-of-the-art, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I thought it did a real good job, and the amount of time it would have taken to put this together with a small team would have been tough, real tough.
Right. So I was very impressed with that opening cinematic.
Yeah. The story of this game is pretty interesting. To summarize, you are on Earth. Earth has become like a dump, basically. It's in fact, literally one of the opening scenes shows a dumpster fire. So as you know, Earth never comes out good in these games. You ever notice that? No. We've always ruined it. So these guys are like, screw that. We're out of here. They go into cryogenic sleep for a couple years, and they wake up at this new planet. The new planet's bigger. It supports life like Earth. They sit down, and they colonize this planet. Things are looking good. So after being on the planet for a while, the main character and his buddy hop back on this ship, and they're going to go back to Earth to let them know what's going on. They pick some stuff up, whatever. And as they take off, their ship gets blown out of the sky in a very dramatic scene. And and this is where it splits off a little bit, you and or your buddy are come crashing back down to the planet in basically like almost like a chunk of escape pod, basically. And that's where you begin the game as the player. Now, this game has a lot of unique features, and one of them is the fact that it's 2-player simultaneous play. In fact, when I played it, it defaulted to that. I don't know if it did that on YouTube. I had to go there and shut it off. But I thought, wow, this is kind of neat. And I looked in the book, the rule book, and it says you have to sort of both stay on the same screen.
So we can form a picture. When you start, what this game is you are looking down. It's almost sort of like an isometric, quasi 3D viewpoint, where you are. Think about like if you take the King's Quest engine and you sort of like tilt it up a little bit, so you're looking down on the action a little bit more. But it is fully an adventure game, it's a joystick and or keyboard controlled adventure game. It's not point and click though. There's no mouse in this game. It's unique in that regard.
It sort of reminded me. The look of a lot of it was a little bit like if Jurassic Park and
that's a great
Chaos
comparison.
Engine sort of had a child.
Yeah.
We would get something like that.
That's it right there.
Now, by the way, this is way better than Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it's also way better than Chaos.
Well, I will get to that. But I will say, when you first see the game, it looks nice. I mean, they really listen. You love colorful. That's your big thing, right? This thing's colorful.
Yep.
It's got lots of it looks good. They did a good job making it. So again, if you play 2 players, you and your buddy can go through this adventure game, which would be great.
Right.
That would be helpful.
Now,
frankly.
they handled the way that they do 2 players very cleverly. At the beginning of the game, you emerge from your escape pod. If you play a 2-player game, you and your buddy are out running around. If you play a 1-player game, your buddy is dead and he's laying on the ground. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Because it makes the story work either way.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this game it's unique in a lot of ways. It's unique because of its control scheme, but it's also unique in that there is a combat element in this game.
Yeah, there is.
And there's quite a bit of combat in a game that you wouldn't necessarily associate this genre with combat.
There's tons of it, actually.
So you crash on this planet, and the first thing that you have to do is pick up a gun and pick up some items from your crashed escaped vehicle.
I think it's like a navigator, a med pack, and a gun. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. And then you start wandering around this forest area. Okay. And you notice there's a bunch of Greedos milling about. Okay.
Yes.
And so and guess what? They're not friendly.
No.
They immediately attack you.
Yeah.
And if you do what I did, which is not pick up the gun at first, you got nothing but the old bare fists.
Yeah.
And the bare fists are not good.
You're boned.
Yeah, you're
This
screwed.
is not a game for pacifists. You
No.
get a 0% chance of getting through
You are a cold-blooded killer in this game.
You are, including shooting guys in the back.
Right.
Shooting guys you promised you wouldn't kill.
Yep. And what this game is it's a very simple adventure game where you go around, you collect items, you talk to people, and you manipulate items with other items, or you give people things to advance the storyline.
Yeah.
That's what this game is.
You know, I want to talk about the interface on this a little bit. Okay. Now, when it comes to these sorts of games, you're more well-traveled than me. But this was right up my alley because they simplified it to the point where I don't have to do anything hardly.
Right.
You can use the buttons on your keyboard to move back and forth through your inventory, and then when you walk up to something, there's a little window that has a picture in it. They'll tell you what the picture's supposed to do.
This is the natural evolution of the adventure game, where they know if you walk up to somebody, you're going to want to talk to them. Yeah. You're not going to want to grab them. You're not going to want to take them. You know, and it's all. This is one case where I feel like the icon system works really well. The icons are also animated, which is nice. The talking is a big close-up of a guy's lips going wah, wah,
They're
wah.
sort of kind of digitized. Yeah, in kind of a neat way.
I struggled to think about. You know, do you think there was some rotoscoping involved in this?
I think there was. I think I read in the interview they did some. Listen, here's the thing: the guys that made this, the head guy was a big fan of Flashback and Chaos Engine and Another World. And so, in fact, a couple of the guys that worked on it, in a couple of interviews I read, they both mentioned those games. And so that's what they were after. And they, listen, this is not a kind of game like Flashback or Another World. It's not that kind of game at all. But in terms of the way your guy moves and stuff, they did a good job of capturing those elements of that game and incorporating them in this game. I'm gonna pretend that this game is timeless, because you would think in '99, okay, games came a long way. So I'm not going to look at it in that context. I'm just going to look at this as a standard Amiga game.
I think that's
because I don't want to have to go back and try to figure out what else is going on in '99.
Right.
Okay. So if you look at things along those lines, graphically and animation wise, this game is head and shoulders above almost anything we've played.
Yeah. This game destroys. I mean, this game, I feel like, talk about rotoscoping. If Jordan Mechner would have had any talent, he would have made a game that looked like this.
Well, listen, you're an idiot for badmouthing Jordan Mechner, because Jordan Mechner's got all the talent. Number one. Number two, these games aren't comparable. And number three,
this game's great.
You're just trying to anger me, so I'm just going to ignore you. The game itself, like I said, there are elements of it that are very reminiscent of something like a Chaos Engine, but this game is more like a deep story like you would see in a point-and-click game. So it marries the two elements into one, and really the story aspect of it is every bit as important as the action aspect. In fact, you could easily make this a point-and-click game, or you could make it a game that controls sort of like Diablo or something where you just move the guy around. I love what he chose because I like controlling this with the controller. I think it was more natural and more fun for me. And the fact that they dumbed down a lot of it, and that doesn't mean the game's easy because it's not, but it made it easier for me. I don't like to be bothered with the triviality of these sorts of games. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea. If you walk up to a guy and it instigates a conversation, and your guy's like, wait a minute, I've got something you need, and it just shows the picture of the giving thing. You hit the button, you give him the thing. That's what I like. That way I don't have to go through my inventory and do a bunch of crap. It just works. That's what I like about it. We should also mention that this game has complete dialogue. Complete. Now, that sounds great. It is good, except for the fact that there's only two people voicing every character. And really, one guy voices there's one chick that does some stuff, but mostly it's a guy. Mm-hmm. And you hear every wacky accent you could think of from this British guy. He does a Scottish guy. He does German guy. He does these other voices, lightens his voice. He must have voiced 50 guys in this. It's the same guy. And so it was always fun to go meet someone else to see what they're going to sound like. He's a drunk guy. He's an authoritative guy. It's always the same guy.
I loved this. I love this so much.
This was the Mystery Science Theater portion of the game.
Yeah. It was so, it was, like you said, it was so amusing. Because whenever you see a guy hone into view on the screen, you just picture, I wonder what he's going to do with this guy.
Yeah. That's what, and it's always, like, my favorite guy was the Scottish guy, but the drunk guy was great, too. I love that. You meet a whole host of people. I did not get real far into the game. Then I watched a little bit further because I thought I might come back to it one of these days. But, there's a huge cast of people. I wouldn't say there's not a ton of screens.
There are. I watched. This is a very lengthy game. This game, from the playthrough online, it's about 2.5 hours of playtime, and you go through a multitude. Now, when you talk about variety, like you're not visiting like snow-peaked mountains and things like that. Yeah. But you are visiting a variety of locations, and they do all they're not just palette swaps. Like there's a lot of hand-drawn art in here, like pixel art that's very, very good.
Now, yeah, I agree with that. In fact, one of the interviews with one of the guys on this, he was sort of like the head guy. He made the guy that does the art draw stuff over and over and over. He said he's got enough art from this guy to make 3 games.
Wow.
He said, in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have done that. But he had this vision, this massive game. That's what happened. He said by the time they finished this game, they were just so happy to be this game. It took forever to make.
Well, yeah. I can see why, because you could have easily okay, this is my lab, and you go to visit different labs, but they all just kind of look like this lab.
Right,
but in this game, it's not that way. At first I was sort of, I felt on edge because I started walking around this forest and I was like, man, I hope this whole game isn't just walking around forest.
Right.
But luckily it's not. And I love the fact, when you get into the water, and you start swimming around in the water, all that animation was so, so good.
Yeah.
Now, Aaron, what did you think about the gunplay in this game?
I'm happy there was gunplay. And we've mentioned it's violent gunplay. Mm-hmm. You're not blowing guys' heads off. But you're literally, you can walk up behind someone and just blow them away, and don't even think twice about it. Right. But I didn't mind the targeting that much because once you get used to it, it's okay. It's the getting shot that I minded because the guns tend to rapid fire, and so for a while you just sit there and just get crushed, and it made it tough. And aiming can be difficult when you're in this maze-like forest or in a building, and sometimes if you're in a particularly crazy setting, it can get pretty chaotic. And so I would not say that this game was built with arcade shooting in mind. You know what I'm saying? It's not like even Berserk. It's not that smooth. It's not horrible. It's not horrible.
Right.
But it's okay.
The problem that I have 2 problems with the gunplay. First of all, I think it's very satisfying gunplay in the terms of when you lock onto a guy and you're unloading on him.
Yeah.
You feel like you're shooting the gun.
That's probably what they feel like too.
Right.
Because they do that often.
Right. Now, the thing that's weird about this is that you have to assume a firing stance in this game.
Yeah.
Because, if you don't, then you're going to start shooting people. And so, or people that you don't want to shoot. Now, you cannot shoot people in this game that the game doesn't want you to shoot. It's not like Oblivion or Morrowind or something where you can kill every character. They make it so you can't screw yourself that way.
But there are tons of people that'll be more than happy to let you kill.
Right, exactly. And so, but when you get into the firing stance in this game, sometimes it's hard to get out of it. You have to push. The directions say push the other direction twice to get out of it. Well, I did that a bunch of times. And it still felt like it was luck when I managed to get out of there.
Yeah.
The other thing, this is the same problem as with the Chaos Engine. You can only fire in 8 directions.
Yeah.
And the enemies attack you from everywhere. Okay. Yeah. Now there is some fudging that goes on with the aiming. Like if you sort of get it okay, sometimes it'll lock on, but sometimes it doesn't. And like you said, when things get hot and heavy with the Greedos, it can get real. I mean, you can get screwed real easy.
I couldn't quite tell if this had. I mean, there's a little X that appears as you're shooting someone. I never was 100% sure it was locking on or I had just had the right angle. I'm still not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
But it's serviceable. We've seen much worse.
Oh yeah, it's definitely serviceable, and it brings some excitement to a genre that isn't always the most exciting. Now, your normal point and click adventure game doesn't have a whole lot of action. So I like that. I thought it was cool.
If you're a purist, though, won't like it.
No.
Because they're adding a twitch element to what's basically a game that's investigating a mystery.
Right.
And you've got to be prepared for that to be in there.
Right. So, like I said, I watched this whole playthrough, and
you watched the whole thing.
The story is very interesting.
Yeah, because you have to. I mean, the meat of it is they're investigating. Why would you shoot down your own ship?
Right. And there's this alien species that is fighting the human invaders, but then there's also a civil war going on. Like the Greedos are fighting themselves. There's you can tell this guy was inspired by another world because you befriend one of the Greedos.
Yeah.
And so the story I thought was like, I found myself watching this and actually enjoying the story, which is not something that's common with any kind of a game with an action sequence in it. The fact that this was done by just a few people is very, very impressive.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it is amazing, and you can see why it took 5 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a shame that this thing came out as late as it did. This was only released on the Amiga, right?
Yes. And they didn't have the money to release or even think about porting it.
Yeah,
that's
so I'm sure that these guys did not get anywhere close to sort of their money back in terms of time invested.
They took a bath.
I hope that at the end of the day, they felt satisfaction because what they've created here is this is, like you said, compared to other Amiga games, this stands head and shoulders above 90% of all of them.
This was listen, this game gets it gets difficult in terms of an adventure game.
Well, did you find the puzzle element to this game to be
not as well? I did with the point where I couldn't get any further. So yeah, but up to that point, I thought it was. And the thing is, they give you a lot of world to explore, even if you haven't figured out how to get past certain parts of it. You can go look around. So I never felt like I was totally screwed. Really, the funny thing is the thing that I bragged about actually is what screwed me, because what would end up happening was I would just basically get shot till I died. Mm-hmm. And so I couldn't really investigate anything fully.
If you don't make it to where this is in the playthrough, then you're screwed.
Yeah,
because this is where you can heal. And what actually the one complaint I do have about the early part of the game is I tried like the Dickens to get that med pack to heal me because I thought that was what it was for, but it's not. It's to help your Greedo friend.
Yeah.
And so, but I thought watching all of these puzzles work themselves out. Now I know it's not the same as doing it in real time because you're not thinking the same way, but there was nothing like tape the cat hair to the ID to give yourself a mustache. There were none of those kinds of, classic stupid adventure game puzzles. All of these things were more just like, okay, here's this thing, find the guy that needs this thing and give it to him, Which to me, when you're in a game that has a story as good as this, that's what you want because you're curious to find out what happens next. It's not necessarily to figure out the most nefarious puzzle.
There were a lot of little hidden gems in these interviews I read that I translated from their native Russian. One of the things I read was initially before these guys were even a company, when they got together, the one fella had asked Raymond, he's like, listen, get me some art. I've got this idea. He wanted to make something that would be on par with, like, graphically, like a Shadow of the Beast. And so, believe it or not, the original idea that he came up with was an Amiga game that was a modern resemblance of BC's Quest for Tires. And he said Raymond couldn't stop drawing background stuff because once they figured out how to like make stuff look good, they became obsessed with making. So slowly, if you can believe it, that's sort of what ended up happening. The artwork and the story all came together over a period of 5 years, and I'm sure it turned into a slog at some point. I should also mention that in the interview, you find out that this game's actually free to distribute. He is offered. He said this is a free game to give away, so you can go download this one guilt-free if you take the notion. It's a big game. Of course, it's fit on CD. I have no doubt that they filled that CD pretty much. I read it was like 620 meg.
The spoken word alone.
Yeah.
You know. Oh, and we should mention that this game has music.
Sure.
And the music is good.
Yeah.
It doesn't play all the time, which is good, but when you go to different areas, there are little things, kind of little tunes that play, and I found this music to be very pleasant and very suitable to the type of game that this is.
Yeah, and I should mention the guys that did the music in this, Daryl Sloan, Paul Hale, and Thomas C. Shavanovic, which was, of course, the main guy there. They all worked on the music on this. It's funny, looking through the credits of this, because a lot of the credits are the same 2 or 3 guys. But none of these guys did anything except for that one guy worked on Codename Hell Squad. That's it. So really, this was the lone offering from people that were clearly talented.
Yeah.
And this also shows you, clearly this was a commercial disaster, okay? But if you've got unlimited time and passion for a project, you can make just about anything.
And talent. You got to have talent.
And a talent, yeah sure. But as you go through the game and start to unveil the mystery, I like a game like that. This has got a little bit of everything in it.
It does.
It's one of those games that's not going to be for everyone, like I said. But I think if you're looking for a change of pace with like a true action adventure, which I think this is what this is, I think you got something.
You're right. This is an action adventure in the truest sense of the word.
Yeah, and the fact that, and then we've only touched on it briefly, but the fact that you could have 2 players go through this would be a lot of fun. And because you can picture late nights at your buddy's house.
Oh, yeah.
Going through this, and you're both there trying to get through it, trying to solve these mysteries. That would really be kind of neat. I wonder if this is playable on Amiga Live. We should look into that.
Maybe so, yeah.
That might be something to get into. You know, I looked, before you get into Discord reviews, believe it or not, I actually found a couple of reviews on this. Keep in mind, this was 99. So most of the reviewers had long since gone. The people in Lemon highly respect this game. Give it an 8.4 vote. Amiga Active gave this an 8 out of 10 in their first issue, October 1999. And Amiga Format still lingering around, refusing to lay down and die. Gave this a 72%.
Oh.
I tried to read these, but I couldn't. The links were not working. So I don't know why they gave it such a low score.
Yeah, that's
my
weird.
God, I would have been jumping to my knees.
Right.
And thanking the sweet Lord that these guys released this game in 99.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they weren't as impressed with it. Would we get any Discord action on this?
Nothing.
Are you kidding me? No one tried this?
I have a feeling this is one of those undiscovered gems, Aaron.
I will say, I tried to run this several different ways. How did you end up? Oh, and I'm going to give you the easiest way and work our way back. The company has a release of this.
Oh,
okay. So if you want to go that route, if you don't have an Amiga or don't want to fiddle with the CD aspects of it, the company's got you covered. My boys over there. You can go download this and play it on Windows PC. You also can play this on the Amiga Forever pack. If you've got the hard drive file, I just took the hard drive file and copied over the Mister and played it. And it worked fine, including saves. Okay. You definitely want saves.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That's something else this game has, is saves. Those are very necessary. I wish I'd saved more, because what ended up hosing me is my save file. I saved my last game way in, and I had no energy. Right. And so I had to creep around. It was almost like playing Metal Gear, because I couldn't take any hits. And also, like we mentioned, if you run out of gun ammo, boned. I did look on eBay. Since we don't need Discord, we'll get to eBay. There were none for sale. There were a lot of magazines that had the demo on the disc for sale. It's funny because I read in the interview that Tom mentioned that a magazine had asked them if they could put this on their cover disc. But I couldn't, as far as I could tell, what ended up on a cover disc was a demo, and I don't know if they ever released a full game on any cover disc. Would have been a good move.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get this for free. Also, there was one of these sold in France in December of the past year. Amazingly, $21.
I would have bought that in a
I
heartbeat.
would have bought it in 2 heartbeats.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to see these things
Right.
floating around that much. And it had, all it was the CD and a little slip case.
Yeah.
That's all there was to it.
I know it's only March, but this is a contender, Aaron, for Game of the Year 2022.
Well, at the bare minimum, it's the surprise game of the year. Because, trust me, when I saw this hone into view, I'm like, wait a minute. 1999 Amiga CD game. That's got all the earmarks of pain for me. Because I knew it was going to be something I kind of... And it's, I don't like adventure games, but this one struck a chord with me. The story is good.
Yeah.
And the fact that one guy does the voices, we should mention this guy's name, Bo. My God, he did every voice almost. Let me find what his name was here. The fact that one guy did almost all the voices, I think is dandy. Let me see here. I'm not going to end this.
Digital speech by Paul Harrington of Vulcan.
There you go. A Vulcan. That explains it. He's a Vulcan.
Yeah.
Good for you, Paul. We should talk to this guy sometime.
We should.
And then we should have him do all of his voices in one long. I'm gonna look him up.
That would be in a great Amigos interview.
That would be great.
All right, Aaron. Well, we want to thank Level Lord for nominating this at the Amigos Game Selection Committee.
Nice pick, Level Lord.
And why don't we slide on over to the YouTube channel?
Oh man, let's just slide right over there, Boatster. So. Pretty much a normal week with us this time around. Starting off with myself and the Brent this week. And we're back again, Bo. As you know, we like to do it. And this time, I believe this was a Hermsky nomination. This was games featuring musical acts or artists. And which my logo's changed about 12 times as I tried to make this work. And we picked well, let me say something. Brent dropped the ball this week. All right, I don't know if anybody played these. I picked the Wu-Tang Clan's game on the PlayStation, Wu-Tang Shaolin style. The Brent stupidly and wrongly picked the Blues Brothers game, and then to compound his folly, he picked the horrible, horrible atrocity that was the Amstrad CPC version of this. I don't know if you saw this.
I listened to it, but I did not see it.
For those of you at home that are listening, what you need to do is think about the bluest thing you've ever seen, and then whack your head up against the wall a few times until you see stars and some blurry images. That's what you got.
Yeah, you're not kidding. This is a blue game.
It is blue. It is blue, brother. Brent says this is actually, and everyone I know, including all the people I read, thought this was a straight-up Game Boy port, the original Game Boy. But Brent says incorrect. He says, according to his research, this was ported over from the Amiga. You can believe it.
I've gone a round or two on the Amiga version. I will say if this was ported from the Amiga version, that something got lost in the mail.
Yeah. This is dreadful.
Yeah.
And one would wonder what color it would have been if they weren't the Blues Brothers. Who would guess? And then, like I mentioned, I picked the Wu-Tang fighting game. This was surprisingly not crap.
I was surprised to hear that this was what became a thrill kill, because that was one of those games you always heard about.
Yeah, that's right. And I was surprised, too. That wasn't the reason I picked it. I just thought I'd be interested to do something I'd never played before from a band I never played anything from. I thought the music in this was I thought the voice acting in it was absolute. I mean, trust me, the last game we played with the one voice actor could voice act the Ranger
Well,
and the Wu-Tang
the Wu-Tang Clan isn't going to be up for any Oscars anytime soon.
This game was the weird combination of a self-glamorizing game where the guys didn't seem to care much about the glamorizing of themselves. It's like, oh, let's go kill the ninjas. It's like, so I don't know what the Wu-Tang were on that week. They were drinking something that wasn't Tang. Anyway, if you want to check that out, that was me and Brent on ARG. We had a good time, if anything. It was
a good show.
Thank you, Boat. Well, Boat, we got only one more offering this week, and that was for me and you. And we did a little. I'll just let you talk about this one.
Deus Ex Machina.
Leave it our faces. That sums it up right there. Stunned and amazed.
This is a game that deserves to be called a game in quotation marks.
Yes.
It's a very divisive title. Some people love it. They think it's a work of art. Some people think it's pretentious nonsense. I honestly, I've spent more time talking about The Wall this week than I did Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, so. you made the big mistake of trashing Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Right. Well, it is garbage.
Oh, I disagree with you on
that. But anyway, this is a game. This is an experience that you play along with another cassette tape to an audio cassette.
Yeah.
And you play a series of bizarre games. As you trace the development of a human life from test tube to the grave. It's your typical dystopian crap where everything's gone to heck in the future, and it's you are sort of the last real person in some way because of some rat droppings. I don't know. It's all sort of mixed together in my mind.
It's very artsy, but
yeah, it's very artsy. The music is okay. The graphics on this game are okay. Taken all together, it's weird, and I think you summed it up best when you said this game made me feel weird and it made me feel bad.
Yeah,
and I don't like games that do both of those things.
I'm glad. I don't know. I can't recall who nominated this one here for out of the committee, but that gutsy move, because I'm sure they thought that these guys are gonna kill it. I've never played a game like it in my whole life. Ever on any system.
That's true.
We have a winner. This is the most unique game I've ever played. The fact that you put the cassette on and play it while you listen to the music is weird. It's different. It was interesting. It worked. That part worked. You could have made games like this and it would have worked.
Yep.
Okay. The story, I could see what they're going for, and it was very artsy. And I'm sure the person behind it didn't just whip it together or like, hey, let's do some David Lynch weirdness. They actually had a thing they were going for, which I admire. All right, it had good voice acting and singing, like you said. But normally, when I play a game, it's for enjoyment and fun, levity, to make me forget about my troubles. This game made me know in vivid color that I'd be dead soon and I'd accomplish nothing.
When playing this game, I recalled several troubles I'd previously forgotten about.
Yes, this game caused me to have troubles, and not to mention just that I can't get rid of it. Like, I can't believe we've just now covered it. It seems like we've looked at this 10 times. I don't know what's happened. So yeah, there you go. But if you're listen, check it out. If you don't believe us, go play the game. But you can come back and listen to us and see if you mesh with us on this one. Weird one, Boat.
Weird one.
Boat. That's all we've got.
That's all we've got this week.
That's a short week this week, Boat.
Aaron, the time has come to discuss last week's Patreon Song Challenge. So, last week's Patreon Song Challenge comes to us from the Fab Four, the Beatles, and we got some Beatles fans in the crowd. L. Curtis Boyle wrote in right away. He was lightning fast with his response.
What was the song?
No Reply by the Beatles.
No, you can tell me.
Yeah, this is the lead track off what album?
I don't know.
Beatles for Sale.
I don't know their albums. I just know their songs.
Well, you don't know their songs either.
Not that one. That's some B-level stuff there.
Happy Coding ZX got this one. And Pac Billy, of course. Pac Billy.
He's very
musical savant. Yeah. Yes. So, congratulations to all you guys. We have a new song for you. If you know this song, you can send me an email at john@amigospodcast.com. And I will announce you as winner on next week's show. As always, if you're watching live in the chat, please do not put the answer in the chat. Send me an email instead.
Been 8 of 10 with a retrocast, put up win. RMC, Tim Drew, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Eda, Rob O'Hara, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Sean Zobark Bit, Roland Burke, Andrew Bonks, Joe the Zombie, Leif Kellon, Alan K. Bob, Checo Taylor, Lord, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRoche, Creepy Dead Boy, Figgy CTZ, The Slow Norris, Stefan Sorgar Mortensen, Evan Helen, Christopher Hass, Chris Foles, Lauren Giroux, Graham Bebke, Adam Batters, B.O. Brian's Retro and Vintage, Gary Hucker, Paul Boss Man, Harrington, Duncan Style, Stage from the Crib, Josh and Adam Bradley, Jonas Ruler, THG, Eric Nelson, Daniel Biggs, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Cole, Jason Warren, Pixel Dawn, and Kilbjorn Barb.
All right.
Oh, Lord. You're not going to get Singer of the Year. I can tell you that.
Probably true.
Oh, man.
All right. So we go now, Aaron, to the Twitch supporters. You know, we record this show live every Friday around 5. And
live, you say?
Live.
You'd have to be an idiot to do that.
Crazy. And so if you want to support us on Twitch and subscribe there, you can, just like the following folks. Great Algae, Gary Heather, Uber Scuba Diver, Beach Bum 7, Frodo NL, Jost 80, Mitsuyama, Still Adolescing, Scumboy, Monzames, Oram, Gunner Warhorse, John Marshall 3, Eeyore 4077, Da Krabs MTG, Paco Take, Wide World Retro, Am I Steph, Real Retro Dude, Matt Dufort, RetroRewind.ca, Oil of Hope, Pishbot, Twilight Zoner, Jigglebox, Blow Jellyfish, Blue Train, Retro Jerry, Amiga Live, Wing Chun Wolf, Negsol, Blip Blop, Buck Owens, Zuperdan, Thursibard, Grizzla.
Good list. Good healthy list.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, Aaron. What do we got here? We got coming up.
Who knows? Let's find out. Bam.
Zoo.
Man, look at the cover of this thing.
This was nominated by Pixels at Dawn, chair of the Amigos Game Selection Committee, and of course voted by the whole committee. So we thank them for picking a real winner with Wasted Dreams, and hopefully Zoom will be just as good.
Now, wait a minute. You tell me Pixels at Dawn heads the committee of this and is the grand poobah of Amiga Addict magazine.
Founder and CEO.
And if we're somehow connected with this fine gentleman,
it's unbelievable why he spends any time with us
I can't believe it. And this guy's featured in major magazines.
Yeah. So we will take a look at Zoom next week. Thanks as always for listening and or watching. We'll see you next time. And until then, adios.